and welcome to the Minimum Effort Podcast. Today is probably the biggest day we've had so far on this whole shebang we've been running here. Today we have on, so far personally, my favorite guest. Today we have on SupMatto, he's just one of the best Borderlands YouTubers out there. If you want to tell people about yourself, everything you do, go right ahead.
You got it. Thanks for having me on, man, by the way. So what I do is essentially obsessively chase information, whether it's public or private. There's ways around either paywalls and things like that. So there's things that you can do when you're looking for information. So for example, for myself, what I've been doing is Borderlands 3 related. So I have sources. I've been able to be lucky to make some good connections. So essentially, I talk to them, I cross-reference, I search, and I verify things that have either leaked or are still private. And I also chase stuff that's public. So SteamDB is a great place to catch things early that aren't announced yet, which we've done that. And LinkedIn is another gold mine. And if you know the right people who have the right skills, you can get around paywalls and things like that. So essentially what I do is a lot of research based in finding out things that aren't announced. And I also do a lot of stuff in terms of like lore. So that's what I do on YouTube.
So yeah, you have quite a busy job on YouTube with Borderlands coming up real soon. I mean, you know, you've said it yourself how passionate they are about PAX and releasing information at PAX, and you've got your hands full.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's going to get worse too.
Oh yeah, as we get closer, more and more leaks are going to start springing up.
Yeah, and at this point, I think, you know, when the No pushed their stuff out, immediately, like, I was tagged on Reddit 1,000 times, my Twitter blew up, like, people, whether or not they believe me at this point, kind of look at me as, like, a gatekeeper, because I had maybe 100 different people, like, well, is this correct? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, like, 95% of it's right. I put out my video, and then literally that next day is when the concept art was like rediscovered, I guess, because that stuff flew under the radar since like October 11th. So that was really interesting, and that kind of reignited the gravy train.
Oh yeah, that concept art is really cool. Like I'm personally really excited for Flak, but who isn't? Beastmaster is like something we've been asking for since, you know, Mordecai was a thing.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I can't wait to get my hands on him. I cannot wait. He sounds incredibly fun. I mean, I did a video months and months ago theorizing about a Beastmaster, and it was like a plea, basically, in the form of a video. So the fact that we're actually getting him, he's a robot, he has multiple pets, like, damn, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so if it's okay for me to ask, I have a question. Like, when a leak happens, how quickly is it almost like a race to see who gets the information, like, on their channel first between you and other people? Or is it more of, let's take my time on this, let's make sure this is true before I blow something out of proportion? What's the process on all that?
So process for me, and it's funny, I have a video going out today where I actually discuss this in a little bit of a roundabout way in another discussion. But basically what I do is, if I get information, and I get a lot, whether it's from random people that DM me on Discord or on Twitter, like, I keep my DMs open, I make connections, I have my, you know, business email on my channel and stuff, so I do get some emails, and, you know, people are throwing stuff at me, info that a lot of times I can't confirm. You know, it just has to kind of sit in that limbo phase until, you know, I might make a connection with somebody else. Usually you have more than one source mentioning something, you feel pretty good about it. For me, there's a few people that I consider pocket aces. I know for 100% certain if I bring something to them and they don't know it, they're going to tell me. So for me, I need all of the people that I talk to agree on whatever I put out. So if you see a Borderlands 3 report or something where I am confirming something, like putting my name on it, that means I am essentially guaranteeing it's going to happen. Like, I know that I'm going to take the risk and put that out there. I know that is 100%. But for me, like, you got to vet people, because I've made connections after I started to get some traction. So for me, like, I just tell people straight up, it's like, look, I have, a Word document at this point that's 10,000 words long on descriptions of things that I've gotten. Most of it confirmed. There's a section for unconfirmed stuff. If you can't tell me some stuff that's not public, how can I trust you? So that's usually where I start with people. It's like, look, I want to have a conversation. Like, by no means is this me being hostile. You got to understand, I need something that tells me that I should listen to you, or at the very least, pique my interest so I pay attention. So that's usually where I start. If somebody says, oh, hey, I have some info on this character, my first question is like, okay, tell me some stuff about the game that isn't public, that is going to make me feel better about you. And then it just progresses from there. I go back and forth between my sources, and that's like what I did. The no beat me to the characters. And I had the information that they shared and quite a bit more for like 10 weeks before they put it out, and that was something prior to the nose video that I just deemed too far. I deemed it too far, we shouldn't do this, but then they opened the can of worms, and that let me talk in greater detail, and hopefully, in my opinion, prove that, I wasn't full of it. But, that's essentially my process. Like, I don't want to talk about anything that's like a major twist or a spoiler, and, I have to vet people. So, they go through something where, like, I have to know that they are bringing something, that they know something about the game, or at least they can pretend. I suppose somebody could get lucky, but, I'm not going to get something from somebody random on Twitter and then just put out a video. Like, I'm going to talk to Obsidian, I'm going to talk to my other sources, and if it doesn't check out, then, I just sit on it.
No, I hear you there. What would you say is like the ratio to phony leaks and real leaks? Like, how many phonies do you think you get to one legitimate leak?
So it started off that most of it was super quality. Like, I didn't really have. I don't really have credibility yet. There's a lot of people that doubt me, and I will say up front, for those that do, I get it. Like, my credibility, I know, like, I'm not delusional, I'm not an unreasonable person. I know my credibility is still being questioned. You're judging me based on what you think my character is, but in terms of my information, I know once the game is announced and showed off that my credibility will come. So, up front, I was very confident about everything that I did. I talked to Obsidian, I made the connection, I took the chance because of the research that I did. And if you don't know, Obsidian, that channel, they were responsible for leaking just about all the information in that 45-minute demo of Cyberpunk 2077, lots of Fallout 4 stuff, and if you go back, they have, obviously the Borderlands 3 stuff they've done, but they've got stuff on Anthem. You go back, they have a lot of credible leaks, and that's because he's well connected. So it started with him and his sources, which allowed me to take information and reach out to people. So up front, most of the time, they were legitimate. Whereas once I started to get some traction and some attention from Reddit or social media, or more of a subscription basis, they really started to flood in. Like, I've gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of DMs for questions, or a little bit of, oh hey, there's this, and it might be something where it's like less than 5%. I actually made a connection with a source who just like kind of, I don't know who they are or where they came from. Like, we're talking a Twitter user with an egg, no name, just sent me some stuff, and I was like, dude, some of this stuff is definitely like not public, and it's right on. You hit the nail on the head. So you've got my attention. I'm all ears, and that person I was able to get pretty much a ton of info from, and I was able to cross-reference it. So that was probably the only time having my DMs open was worth it, but that's why I do it. That's why I tell people, if you think you've got something, come to me. I'm all ears.
Now I hear you. Speaking of your DMs open, thank you very much for leaving your DMs open, because that allowed us to get into contact.
No problem.
So just to switch gears here, we're gonna get off the creative process and go into more of the creator. What do you think Borderlands has done for you as a person or as a creator? Like, what is it? Has it helped mold you into a better person? Have you learned life lessons? Has it? I know it drives your content, but like, what has it done for you?
It's a good question. I mean, it's definitely a vehicle for where I'm going, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, so when Borderlands 3 is out, like, you're gonna start chasing something else?" It's like, no, man. Like, I'm chasing it because I want it. It's not like when I get it, I move on. So, there'll be a lot of that, but I've done some form of YouTube since like 2009. I've had a previous channel where I did something completely different when I was much younger. That channel doesn't exist anymore. I think at this point, like, I've made mistakes, and even on this channel, right? Like, one of the sins on YouTube is like getting big or starting to grow on one thing and then switching. I've done that twice into Borderlands now, so it's always been something where I guess I've grown with it. I started off doing these like rant videos when I first made the channel back in like 2012. I did that for maybe a couple years, and then I wanted to try the gaming thing, so started doing Let's Plays and playing with my friends and slowly learning how to edit, teaching myself Photoshop. And from there, I started to get bored of that, and I wanted to do produced content. One of the channels that I'm a big fan of is Ahoy. So he used to do the weapon guides for Call of Duty way back in the day when he was Xbox Ahoy. Now he does like basically video game documentaries. I'm also a big fan of NoClip. So I wanted to try my hand at produced stuff. So I was doing that, and I've always loved Borderlands, right? I've done Borderlands Let's Plays back in the day when I started doing the Let's Play stuff, and, I just took to it. So, it became a big rabbit hole. I have posted other content with Far Cry 5, E3, and things like that. So for me, it's definitely grown with me for like my hobbies and things like that, and it's recently given me a good life lesson on how demanding it is. Even like I know some people look at me and are like, dude, you have like 60,000. That's not a small channel, but for me, I have 60,000, and it's daunting at times putting up with everything, mediating the comments, seeing what people have to say. So for me, if anything, recently I've probably learned my biggest lesson on how to have the right mental approach. I'm sure you've seen other creators have to step back because they can't not read the negative comment. They let it ruin their day, or they're struggling with the creative process. So if anything, recently has taught me how to, I guess, better schedule my day and also keep a balance. Like, I happen to do something, I guess at this point, is a side job, and I still have my career, so I still have to worry about that. But I go to the gym, I make sure I have time with my wife, and make sure I have time to play other games. That way I stay fresh. If I need a day off, I just take the day off. Like, so many people are stressed and worried about just always being there, always being on the ball, and that's how you burn yourself out. So if anything, it's taught me how to, I guess, either schedule or like compartmentalize better. I'd say that's not a skill that I was great at before I guess the ball really started rolling.
No, I get you. Borderlands has been a big thing for me growing up too. The game came out when I was maybe 9 years old, 9 or 10, and me and my younger brother played the first Borderlands together, and it was actually the first game that me and him completed in full together. And I became immediately attached to the franchise, and got the second one when it came out, and the third one when pre-sequel. I mean, when it came out, and the pre-sequel. I mean, it is the black sheep of the family, but I did have a good time with it all the same. But the biggest point that Borderlands did for me was it's the first game that me and my longtime girlfriend of 6 years now completed together. And
No kidding.
we've completed the first two together. She just doesn't like the pre-sequel, so we're probably not going to play that one together. But she's really excited for 3, and so am I. But on I think it was our last year anniversary, year before, we actually both got matching Borderlands tattoos.
No kidding, man.
No kidding. It is really important to us, and it's definitely helped shape me as a person, both, comedically as well as just how I deal with regular craziness in the day,
Yeah, seriously.
But
That's funny.
go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just commenting. That's funny. A lot of people look at me like I'm a Borderlands super fan, but like for me, like it's definitely a top like 5 franchise for me. Like love the games, but like people look at me and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's all you play, right?" It's like, nah, like play all kinds of stuff. Like if I were to get a tattoo for a game, Borderlands wouldn't be my first choice. I'd be looking more in like BioShock space. So.
Yeah, I can understand that. BioShock was a great game. It really was. And do you think we'll ever see another BioShock? Just to get off topic for a minute.
I think we will. I think we will. There's been murmurs and rumors, and I've heard some stuff. Nothing confirmed. Nothing like major. If it was major, I definitely would have put a video out. Granted, how much of a fan of that series I am, but it was always communicated and understood that Take-Two was definitely going to do something BioShock again. The question was when. Obviously, Ken Levine won't be involved, but, that doesn't mean they can't bring in a new, good creative. I mean, there's plenty of games out there where we've seen people who are a just lifelong creative come in and, revamp stuff or put a good change on it and really make something that was kind of bland special. So if we get somebody that is like him, we're going to have another good game. I really think we'll see the series come back.
All right, here's an off-the-wall question. I know this is nowhere near what our bullet points say we're going to talk about. We got off on BioShock. What would you say is the worst BioShock game in the series?
2.
BioShock 2?
Always 2.
Is BioShock 2 better than the pre-sequel?
Yeah. The pre-sequel, so here's the thing, the pre-sequel is not bad.
It's not.
The pre-sequel's problem is, it's, obviously the end game is an issue. People are pissed that they bought the season pass and got one DLC, and that was it.
I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah, so that didn't feel good, but then on top of it, a lot of people, I'm like, look, it's nothing against Australians. Like, I would love to go to Australia. I have people that watch my channel from Australia. Like, I got nothing against them. I think Australia is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a niche audience.
Yeah,
and
the comedy
a lot of
doesn't
people,
hit.
a lot of people felt left out. Like, a lot of the stuff I have to look up, or, I was streaming yesterday because I'm running through the pre-sequel. And
I know, I catch them every now and again.
Yeah, one of the members on my channel is from Australia, so he was watching, and like we got to a point, and I'm like, what does this mean? And he's just like telling us. Game's been out going on 5 years now, and there's still stuff that I don't know what it means. So I think that kind of alienated some of the fans, and on top of it, just the world wasn't as diverse and interesting. And that's part of the reason why, like, I was so ecstatic talking about, Eden 6. I know we have Pandora, we have Eden, we have Prometheus. We're going to have 3 vastly different experiences and worlds going in Borderlands 3. So, the last experience we have is the pre-sequel in terms of, like, the traditional Gearbox gameplay of Borderlands. So I'm excited to really be, like, stoked to explore stuff. Like in the pre-sequel, everything looks the same and it's confusing to navigate. I'm looking forward to something that's not that.
Do you think we'll go back to Elpis in Borderlands 3?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. I I've had people reach out to me and say, "Oh, we're going to this planet," or "We're doing this." From the people I trust, all I've gotten that I really, truly, 100% believe is Eden and Promethea for new, and we start on Pandora, but we are only there briefly. So I would love them to do multiple years of post-launch content support and give us DLCs where we go to new planets. So to go back to Elpis or to go somewhere new, I'd be totally up for that. But I haven't heard anything, and in terms of DLC, definitely, like, I don't know anything about characters or the game. I don't even know if Gearbox does. They might only be starting that process.
Yeah, they're on the short game right now.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're going to move on to our next point. We're going to talk about far-fetched theories, weird stuff you've heard, or just off-the-wall stuff that just doesn't fit in.
A lot. I was actually discussing that yesterday. So I'm just scrolling back up because it'd be easier. So some dumb stuff is including but not limited to, like, Roland being alive and in the game again, the game being delayed to 2021 for the release of the new consoles, which doesn't match up with any of the leaks because this is the year we likely get the new Xbox and the PlayStation 5 announced. I've talked about this a lot. There is next to no chance that the PlayStation 5 isn't announced at some point this year. It is the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation brand. They've bowed out of PSX last year. They bowed out of E3. They're going to put on their own event and announce something. What happened to the pre-sequel? They announced on the last generation consoles after the new generation was out that incredibly hurt sales. Like, you cannot argue anyway, just from a strict financial space, that hurt sales. So for the game to be delayed to 2021 for the release of the new consoles doesn't make sense because Take-Two is the publisher, and what do they love to do? Double dip. They're going to put out the game, and then a year and a half later, they're going to release the complete edition with some DLC, with upgraded visuals on the new consoles. Red Dead's going to do it. Shit, we may even see them do it for Grand Theft Auto at this point. So that one's pretty stupid to me. I've heard people saying we're only going to be on Pandora. I've heard that Borderlands 3 is going to release this February with no marketing. I've heard the game is canceled. I've heard Tina, Moxie, like all these different playable characters. So, you know, I just get a lot of people, I guess, like throwing shit and hoping I take the bait. But, you know, the list goes on and on. I get people that send me pictures of, like, the outside of 2K in California, and they're like, yeah, I work here, I'm an intern, I heard this. And I'm like, dude, I reverse image searched that. That's not your original image. Like, at least screw with it so when I search it, it doesn't come up, so you at least get me thinking, like, maybe this is real. So I get a lot of bait, and in terms of, like, stuff for Borderlands 3, it's stuff I know that just isn't true at all. As for, like, Borderlands theories, I'd say always the one that I think is the most stupid, and that has to be that Jack's the good guy. I mean, people make good pitches for it, but it's just not true.
And the end of the pre-sequel really derails the whole, he's the hero thing.
Like, can you feel bad for him and say, oh yeah, he had a tough childhood and things haven't been easy? Yeah, but if you look at the childhood he had and the struggles he had, the fact that he's as talented of a coder and all these different personality traits that he has to work his way up to the top, I have no doubt that guy could have done it the right way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not how Hyperion operates. So, for those of you that say he's a good guy, I gotta disagree. That is flat out wrong. For those of you that want to say you feel bad and he's definitely a loaded personality, yeah, sure. But to say that he's not the bad guy and that the Vault Hunters made him this way, just that to me is always like the most wild theory.
See, the way I've always looked at that theory is that, Jack was he had a great idea. He had a good concept of the right thing to do, and he went about it the wrong way. You know, it's like
the very wrong way.
it's like the whole Infinity War thing. Like Thanos is like, yeah, I could just double all the supplies in the whole universe, and then no one would starve, or I could kill half the people. You know,
Yeah.
you know, there's always a better way to do things, and I guess he just didn't see a morally sound way of accomplishing his goal.
Yeah, I guess not, or at least the shortcut.
Yeah. So just to keep things rolling, what personal changes would you make to Borderlands 3 or any of the existing games in the series? What would you have changed?
So Borderlands 2, I would just leave. Yeah, there's some issues, but I mean that thing is a solid 9.5 out of 10 type of game. Like, it was in the running for Game of the Year. Like, I don't really need to do much in terms of that. The
I agree. Borderlands 2 is great.
Yeah, absolutely. The pre-sequel, I would focus most of my time with fixing the bugs. Obviously, like, on stream, I dealt with the Jack getting stuck on the elevator, the me getting stuck in the moonshot, and like all this different stuff. So there's bugs that I would absolutely fix. I've had stuff where in multiple different places it halts your progress. You have to reload or literally go out of the game and back in. So I'd fix that stuff. I'd also go back, release Lexi's Space Adventure, see the actual post-launch content support all the way through, because if you look at the pre-sequel, they did a lot better. They really did. Did they miss the big stuff? Yeah. But character-wise, a lot of the weapons were great, especially like the playable characters were done fantastically. Like, the game is worth playing to play the characters, because the trees, the characters, and everything in between was done so well. So, leave that, but I would make it so you actually want to play it, It's a grind to just get to 70. Like, you gotta actually play the game like through again in UVHM to hit 70. So I would make the end game the way it's supposed to be. I'd get more than one or two, depending on how you look at it, raid bosses, and actually see the game through. How many times have we had a game come out, the studio stuck with it, and it turned out to be something good? Like, 2K just ditched that thing so fast.
And I feel like if they would have just stuck to their guns on it and, really pushed for post-game content, DLCs, and stuff like that, we really could have got a great thing out of the pre-sequel.
Yeah, I think they could have turned it around, but I guess they decided it wasn't worth it, and, it is what it is. So, as for Borderlands 3, I mean, there's not really much to say. I'm a firm believer that let's see it first. Let's have our hands on it, because I've told people 100 times in the ask, like, everything I want's there, just gotta make sure that gameplay's there. If the gameplay that I fell in love with is there, Borderlands 3 is gonna be a blast. But, until I actually get to play it, whether it's early or at the same time as you or a beta or whatever it is, like, that is what I'm waiting for. So, I'm sure there'll be some things that either are buggy or, I might not like when I have hundreds of hours in it, and I might be better suited for it. But unfortunately, one of the things that might be a perfect answer for the question is something that is still private in terms of Borderlands 3. So
I understand that.
Unfortunately, I can't chit-chat about. But
leave it alone. Don't get you in trouble.
it also might not be 100% true as well. So that's one of the things I'm waiting to see.
I understand that. To keep rolling, do you have any personal theories or just straight up speculation that you would like to throw into the mix? Like, no conclusive ideas, no conclusive evidence, just here's a theory that would be cool. Do you have anything you want to add to there?
Theories that would be cool. I like the theory. This is recent, and I would talk about it because I like the idea. We obviously have who may be Amara. I'm not 100% sure. That's why it was on Twitter. I've talked with a few people. It seems like Amara may be the name of the new Siren, but we had a lot of people theorizing that maybe the new Siren is Brick's lost sister. You know, if you didn't know, Brick came to Pandora looking for his missing sister, who's said to be very muscular and stronger than Brick. So we have a muscular Siren, and some people are theorizing that it could be Brick's sister. I like that a lot. I think that would open a lot of different avenues for, I guess, like flare-ups and good ways to progress the story in Borderlands 3. So that one is one that is from the fans that I definitely would stand behind. I think that would be very cool. I think that would be a good way to tie in and elaborate on Brick's story more so than we already had. So that one's the new one that I've seen a lot that I do enjoy. Personal theories, I'd say the biggest one for me was the tech demo. You know, I started to get wind of the fact that that may be a playable character, so that was the one that was really cool for me, because like I made a theory video and I straight up said, I was like, this has got to be a playable character. My reasoning was different, but that one felt the best when I finally found out. I was like, yes, I was right.
I do believe that was the first video of yours that I caught.
Well, perfect timing then, because that was right before the start of it. Like that was really cool. Like, I know a lot of fans out there like were convinced for quite some time now. I mean, that came out like mid 2017, so you know people have been holding on to that for over a year. So now they have it on, you know, pretty confident like confirmation, you know, quote unquote, at this point that they were actually right. So that's probably my favorite.
Oh, I get you. But I remember when that tech demo released and all that, I heard a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, theorizing that that was going to be Tiny Tina all grown up.
Yeah, everybody was saying that. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
No,
I don't know what she looks like, but she's grown up and in the next game.
Oh yeah, definitely. With the time skip, she's going to be not so Tiny Tina.
Yeah, she's going to be about 20.
It's going to be weird.
Yeah, we'll see how they do it. I mean,
yeah.
there's going to be stuff to get used to, but like, I don't know, I'm a firm believer. I don't like being stuck, you know, in just that same space.
You
know,
gotta
things
move, gotta
get
grow.
dry.
So I'm going to pitch some popular fan theories at you and get your opinion on them, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
How do you feel about the very popular theory that Krieg is Tina's dad?
You know, personally, I feel like this one should be like over and done with. If you have the literal people that made the game say no, that should be the end of it.
There's just so much evidence.
There is a lot of evidence, but there's also evidence out there that I think was purposefully done in terms of linking the two. So they say, hey, not, you know, father and daughter, but hey, probably they're together. You know, we have the reference at the end of the Son of Cromorax with, you know, Krieg's message being from Sammy, so, you know, that's most likely Dr. Samuels, who was there doing the slag experiments. We know that Krieg and Tina and her family were there. We have mentions of multiple women, so I think Krieg and Tina have had a past, but to say that they're father and daughter when, you know, the people making the game flat out say no, to me is like, you gotta let that one go. Maybe they'll explain it in the next game, maybe they won't, but if they're saying no, you know, you kind of have to be like, okay, well, you guys made it.
All right, on to the next one. Are the new U stations canon? Can Jack and Roland come back? I have my own take on this.
No. Fast travel, yes. Respawning, no. Respawning is a gameplay mechanic. That's something I've argued. Gearbox has said it's a gameplay mechanic. I think some people get confused because they do walk the line and poke fun at it. But fast travel, you know, has existed in the story, has been mentioned by Jack multiple times. Fast travel, yes. New U in terms of respawning, no.
The new U station did get mentioned in terms of respawning by Claptrap in the first game, though.
Yeah, I still disagree.
But that was a dull station.
Yeah, I still disagree. I still think respawning, gameplay mechanic, new U with the fast travel being a thing, and I will say this very flat out, I'm sure you know, Gearbox is horrible at like continuity and keeping their story straight. There's definitely some things that get muddy when you try to look them up, and there's definitely some stuff that flat out is contradicted. So unfortunately, it kind of leaves it up for interpretation and leaves us still having these discussions. But for me, like, you got to look at the people making the game. If they're saying one thing, then that's kind of what you have to take.
I get you, but I mean, I'm a big fan of the new U respawn quote that you cannot, being respawned like this has voided your ability to reproduce, right? So like Jack couldn't respawn because he already had Angel. So, I don't know.
It's a good theory. I have read that one, or at least a version of that one, and it's
I'm
a good
paraphrasing.
theory. The people, no, I know, but I know what you're talking about. The people that, you know, talk about that one, it's plausible. I still believe what I believe, but, you know, that's one thing that's nice. Like, I make videos, and, you know, unfortunately I catch shit for them. I like to talk about the things I don't necessarily believe. I like to do my research. I like to open myself up to another way of thinking, and I'll do a video on something that might be controversial and talk about it and then say, look, I disagree with this, but here's what's out there, let me know. And unfortunately, a lot of people just take it as like, oh, you know, you shouldn't waste your time with this. Oh, this is a bad video. It's like, if you open yourself up and talk about it, you might be able to either grow or maybe flip. Like, just open up yourself to that discussion. So, you know, I've done a handful of those videos on things I don't necessarily agree with, and they're always fun, but I feel like a lot of people take them the wrong way.
Alright, so on to another one. The Watcher in the pre-sequel saves that sick little girl in that audio log mission. I forgot the name of the mission. But
Emily Swan is the girl.
Emily Swan, right.
Mission either.
There's quite a large fan theory that Emily Swan is one of the sirens.
Yeah, I have a video on that as well. There's a lot of evidence. There's nothing that's like super substantial. At the very least, what we could say is the Watcher did something.
Oh yeah.
Watcher did something to save her, and what that is, I don't know. Is it just a healing ability and that's it? Is it something where she was just saved and then something went wrong and now she's a siren? Something's weird there, I will say that much. And just in regards to some of the stuff that I've talked about in Borderlands 3, I wonder if she's going to be linked to something.
Yeah,
I know that they have to add stuff for world building, and they do a lot that doesn't mean anything, but if that one didn't mean anything, I'd be pretty disappointed, because that one seemed to be more perplexing than like most of the other world building type things that they've done in the past. So for me, I still believe that that truly meant something. What? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see if they mention it at all in Borderlands 3. I mean, that's one of the big ones I'm hoping for an answer to.
Yep, I mean, a lot of people. I did the theory on that video, and it did very, very well. A lot of people were quite interested in it, so I think that's one that a lot of people are holding on hope for.
So me and my girlfriend have actually been kicking around a theory between the two of us. I haven't made a video on it. I haven't seen anyone make a video on it yet, and I wanted to pitch it to you real quick. All right?
Shoot.
Tannis is a nut job. Let's start there.
Okay.
So, in all of the games, Tannis has progressed from just a researcher to impulsively doing things that are weird, like collecting Lilith's hair and talking about the chairs on the ceiling, locking that guy outside to steal his chair in Borderlands 1. Just impulsively weird things, all leading towards Siren and Volt research. Right?
Okay. Yep.
So, now that the Watcher is a main thing, and that Tannis had nothing in the pre-sequel, right? Do you think, potentially, Tannis is trying to become an artificial siren?
That is a very good question. My video for today isn't out yet, but we're discussing some of the more plausible, unconfirmed leaks that I've received. And in regards to the Calypsos, I've been told by multiple people now that the male twin has siren powers.
I thought
do
men
not
couldn't
have
be
it.
sirens.
I do not have it confirmed, but people that are Borderlands fans know that guys can't be sirens, and they know what siren powers are. So I actually discussed the idea of artificial sirenhood in the video. So
It's kind of weird.
I actually believe that Tannis is either chasing that, or she's flat out not even close to what she is. So,
Oh, yeah.
she's masquerading as a human. I mean, if the Watcher has the ability to tell the future, has the ability to heal, to perhaps bestow sirenhood on some, has the ability to, I mean, based on what we've seen, a lot more likely, why wouldn't they be able to maybe even shapeshift, or who the hell knows? Tannis, I think, is going to be the big one, and that's the funniest part. People ask me all the time. I haven't heard a single mention of Tannis from any of my sources. Nothing about Moxie, nothing about Tannis. This doesn't mean they're not in the game, of course. It's just, I don't know. I think Tannis is going to have this big old crazy twist in Borderlands.
Oh yeah, they're going to be major plot points.
Yeah, I think she's going to be involved. But yeah, I could see that being possible, and I have kicked around the idea, and I do like the idea. So, something's there. Something's there. Exactly what, I can't place my finger on, but I could see it. I really could.
But I mean, like, the main, like, big points for it were, like, between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, Tannis gets kidnapped by Jack. Like, that's known information, right? And they torture her to get the information for the collars, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all known information, but how would Tannis know how to build that? You know, there's got to be more. You know,
there's got to be more. I mean, there's the theories that she's actually working with Jack. There's
I've heard
theories
those. Yeah.
that she's not. So this is something that I don't know if it's actually true. This is me maybe making some leaps, but
oh, this whole section is speculation.
Yeah, that's fair. So, she has some form of, like, autism, Asperger's, something, like, she's on the spectrum. I think Tannis is included and has that type of stuff because Randy Pitchford is also on the spectrum. He has something, I'd assume, more like Asperger's than full-blown autism, considering, he's able to run a business and do all this stuff. But he's openly admitted multiple times on Twitter that he's on the spectrum. So I think Tannis being on the spectrum, and we know that by in-game stuff, is something that he did, I guess, put a little of himself into a character, so to speak. So I think that Tannis is near and dear to him. So I think that's why Tannis is such a critical part in the games. Of course, that's just a theory. It's just I see some similarities between the two. So that leads me to believe that Tannis is very hush-hush for Borderlands 3, and I think there's going to be something that literally blows our minds.
Do you think Borderlands 3 will be the last game in the series?
Yeah, I do. I do. So Gearbox and Randy Pitchford, have said they don't want to be one-trick ponies. We know they have Project 1v1 still kicking around. I don't know if that's canceled or what they're doing with it. I played it, I guess it's been more than a year ago now, in the alpha, and it was just a confused mess of a game. It wasn't fun. It was chasing multiple different trends and trying to super glue them together, and it just wouldn't stick. So I don't know if they're still working on that or what. We know that they've got more Duke planned. We know that they have Brothers in Arms planned based on what Randy said on Twitter. So I think they're looking to do something else at this point. So, if they have another commercial flop, they might return to the game, or they might license the game, and we might see more. But this, to me, at the very least, is like the last big Borderlands.
It's the last main series.
Yeah, they might do offshoots, or they might have somebody else do it again. But as of right now, like, I have no reason to believe that they'll continue.
I can respect that. So, on to another pressing matter. Telltale Games shut down, and they killed off a very near and dear. So yeah, spoiler warnings, all that good stuff. They killed off a very near and dear character to a lot of the fans' heart. Do you think that they're gonna undo that? Because Randy stated that they don't, they don't mind undoing that stuff. But do you think we'll still see Scooter again?
That is like, for me. So Scooter is my favorite character.
He was one of mine too.
If he comes back, I'm not going to be mad. I will say this: he needs to come back in a plausible way. So, like, he gets his hand unstuck and gets away from the rock pit, and we didn't see it. Like, something. It can't just be like, oh, he blew up, but he's fine. So if he comes back, they got to make the effort. But for me, and this is something, again, that's in today's video, I've heard multiple mentions of an Ellie and Scooter's garage in Borderlands 3. Now, I will say this. Just because it's named that doesn't mean he's back. It could just be Ellie or Moxie. Yeah, exactly. And I say that in the video, but I've heard it more than one time now, again, unconfirmed, that he may actually be alive. So I'm quite curious about that. Again, grain of salt, unconfirmed, all that stuff. But, I think if Gearbox comes out and says that they can change that stuff, they obviously have something in mind that they're going to change.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. Is Mikey healthy enough to do this stuff? I don't know. So for me, like, if Scooter comes back, he's the character. Like, if they change the voice actor, I wouldn't be happy. Like, Claptrap, I was fine. They did a good job. But Mikey, man, he's OG of the series. He's a writer on multiple games, a director on some of the stuff, has a major part in the Borderlands franchise. If he's not playing Scooter, that's not going to work.
Don't
so
put Scooter in.
If he's not healthy enough to do this stuff, I mean, let's be fair, he had to leave the studio again because he wasn't healthy enough to write. I feel as though voice acting is more difficult than writing and things like that. So he obviously now has his career doing the YouTube stuff. So for me, I'm very concerned about it. It's piqued my interest, but yeah, I'd be down for him to come back, but Gearbox would have to write a good storyline that makes sense for him to be back. Like, explain why, show us how. Like, it can't just be like, oh, yeah, he's alive.
Oh, yeah, new U station.
Yeah, like, don't be lazy about it. Like,
well, at the
and I'm not saying they are, but, there's been some stuff that they just kind of were like, yeah, plot magic in the past. I don't want that.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think what they did with Scooter, what Telltale did, was a very fitting ending for him. Like, it's a very noble way to go out.
Absolutely, you're right. And the thing that a lot of people forget is, like, that was written by Gearbox. The arc of Tales was written by Gearbox. They gave them the template, and Telltale did the rest.
I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know they provided them with a full arc detail.
Yeah, so in my research, this is something I only found out, I guess, a couple months ago, but yeah, Gearbox wrote the arc for Tales.
So really, if they undo something, they're undoing something that they said should happen.
Yeah, I mean, was Scooter's death included in the arc? I don't know. But I think the way it was worded, they obviously have something in mind that they've already changed.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'll have to be on the lookout. I don't know if it's Scooter or if it's something else, but I think something's going to be different.
So how do you feel about Janie Springs being on Earth in, not Earth, but Pandora in Tales?
I mean, it is after, so she obviously stayed with Athena.
Obviously.
Depending on your choices, they get married. So for me, it's something. A lot of people ask and wonder. They're like, oh, well, if she's there, does that mean like she's taking over? And me personally, I'd rather see Ellie or somebody new be the new like garage or car type person than Janie. That's my personal feelings. But I mean, clearly she got together with Athena and they dated, so naturally they're gonna, be together. So for me, like, I don't think that was necessarily hinting at anything else, or like, I just think it was like they got together, she stayed with Athena. I don't think there was like anything extra setting up, but she was working with Scooter, so that's why a lot of people think she's next in line.
I don't know. The way I look at it is Scooter was such a very interesting character to go to get vehicles from or to go to get missions from, and I think Ellie still holds that level of interestingness that Janie just doesn't have for me. Like, she just kind of loses that whole, gusto of I'm an interesting character,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of a rough opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we're actually coming up here on into time. If you want to go ahead and shout out all your stuff and direct people your way, and we'll start wrapping this up.
Yeah, so SupMatto everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, Steam, all the places. So if you're into Borderlands, you like, Borderlands 3 insider information, news, anything related to that, you can come check me out. If not, I'm sure I'll have something else. I'm working on an Anthem video right now. I don't expect it to do very well, but I've had all this Anthem inside information, and I don't know what to do with it, so I figured, I'll just put it out. So if Anthem's your thing, I got something for you there too. But yeah, if you want to come hang out, I stream Tuesday to Saturday, and that's pretty much all I got to say. So, thanks for having me on, man.
No, thank you for coming. This has been quite the experience. This has been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun with this. I really appreciate you coming on here. It's been great.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm always down to talk Borderlands. Always.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please subscribe. Definitely go subscribe to SupMatto if you're one of the 9 people that actually, don't know who he is on here. Thank you guys for sticking around this long, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Later.